What's going on, everyone? In today's video, I'm going to share with you the steps that are needed to make $100 profit per day. The goal here is to buy 10 books per day at about $10 profit per book. Now, the cool thing about this is it doesn't necessarily need to be 10 unique titles, although it could be 10 unique titles. Oftentimes, what you'll find is you'll come across a book that maybe there's a couple of copies you could buy, and that makes our work easier. But the goal is to try to make $100 profit per day, which would be about $3,000 in profit per month. Now, in order for this to work, you do need to be buying books every single day. Cannot stress that enough how important it is to be buying books every single day. But we're going to dive right into BookMine just to find those books. So, really, that's our goal, just to find 10 books that we can make $10 profit on. And this isn't like we're hoping to make $10 profit on. This isn't like, maybe I think I can make $10. This is like, all right, I think there's a very, very high probability that we can buy this book for X, sell it for Y, and make at least $10 profit. Now, depending on what types of books you're going to be going after, you might be spending less, you might be spending more. Today's session, I'm just going to be using the profit meter, which is pretty simple. So I'm actually going to get rid of everything that says good and close and only look at amazing and great. So I'm going to click this, this, and this. That's going to give us about 600 books that BookMine has found in about the last hour. And we're essentially just going to go ahead and source from there. So with that said, let's dive right in. All right. In order to do this, I'm thinking, so again, we need $10 profit per book, right? And so based upon the purchase price, you're going to kind of have some mental math, and we can also use a calculator, but you also need some sort of mental math to kind of figure out like what's needed at each purchase price in terms of what you need to sell the book for to make $10 profit. So for example, I'm already doing the mental math. So this first book that came up at $13.49, I'm trying to think, well, what would I even need to sell it for to make $10 profit? And to make $10 profit on this, I'd probably need to sell it for, probably the upper 30s. So the question is like, do I think I could sell this book in the upper 30s? Potentially, although Amazon's price is right around $47. So I'm going to go ahead and just continue going down because, again, 600 books is a lot of books to go through. And you're definitely going to be able to find 10 books pretty easily. So I would recommend being more selective with the books you're looking at. Now, again, doing that mental math at $23, if I were to purchase this book and I wanted to make $10 profit, I'd probably need to sell it in like the low 50s, $50 to $55 to make about $10 profit. So I think from looking at this Keepa graph, it actually looks somewhat likely that that's possible. So let's go and take a look at it, and let's dive right in. All right. Currently, we're sitting down again at $23.14, all in shipping. If we look at the Keepa graph, the price of this used book since May has been essentially like $50 or higher, and there have been plenty of sales rank drops. Now, that's good because it tells us that the book is actually selling. If you're somebody who's still a little bit new to Keepa, just know that anytime this sales rank drops, it essentially means the book has become more popular. It means that this book has sold a decent number of times, and the used price of this book had been basically in this range, which is like the upper 40s to the $60 range. So we know that the book can sell in that range that I was thinking of when I was doing that mental math. So we'll put 2314 into seller amp here, like this. And let's see. So I think I said like $55. Yeah. So there you go. $55. My mental math was pretty close there. Would be $11 profit. So the question is, do we think we can sell for $55? Well, the good news is the buy box is already at $71. That's higher than what we would need to sell it for to make $10 profit. Now, let's actually look to see if there's a new edition of this book, which it looks like there is a new edition of this book. But I always like to look at the new edition to see, is it selling as well? How long has it been out? And is it actually the same book? So let's see. This is a course book. And is this also a course book? This is a workbook. So it's a little bit different. And this came out in 2022. And this also doesn't sell very well. The edition that we're looking at has been selling much better than that. I also noticed that this says digital access 2 years. Now, you could probably still sell it on this listing because if you ever do check out, like for example, if you go here to the buy box, you'll actually see that there's a message here. It says access codes and supplements are not guaranteed with used items. So it's up to you whether or not you'd want to sell the book on this listing. I would say if you're buying it from a seller, don't expect to get an access code. Now, we have Books from California with 11 copies in stock. Then we have $25. So the price already starts going up and then goes up to 40 and 50 and 60. Okay, let's see if there's any Prime offers. I would think it's just a $70. Yeah, it's just $71, just one copy. 81 is the new price. You do want to be definitely obviously want to be under the new price here. So what I would do in this case is I would just probably purchase one copy, probably this one right here, 1934 plus 399 shipping, which is 2315. And like I said, based upon this book being able to sell for 50 to $60, I probably would put my minimum price at like $55, my max price at like $59, because we do want to sell the book. And those are great margins, 50 to 66%. So you could buy more than one copy of this book. I probably wouldn't buy more than two copies. But there's at least one copy there. So that's one out of the way. We'd be making potentially, if we saw it at that target price of 55, that's already $10. So now the goal would be, okay, let's find 10 more books as well. Okay, and again, I'm just going to be doing this mental math. So here's another book, for example, $92. So what would I need to sell the book at to make $10 profit? Probably you need to sell it for like 130, like 130ish would be my guess here. Now, this is a much more expensive book, and I would recommend wanting to make more than $10 profit if you're going to be spending that much capital. But if I look at the Keeper graph, it looks like there is some seasonality in August, September. It kind of sells year round, and it looks like it could pretty easily sell 150 plus. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a look. And yeah, a lot of the recent sales were in the 160s, the 180s. It sold really well in August. And you can see that the offer count is starting to come down in the textbook season here. And this would be a book that you could probably even sell in April or May. There looks like a little bit of textbook season, but also there in August, September. So a book here that's Bible boxing at $221. Okay. So a very expensive book. And let's see, I doubt that there's any Prime offers that are lower than 221. They're probably all, there's actually only one Prime offer, which is good news as well. It means there's not too much competition. And you have Superbook Deals, Sunnyside Books, and Goodwill all competing for that lowest price there. And like I said, this book, recently, as far as in December, was selling for almost $200. So again, here's a book that I would be interested in purchasing. So you'd be at 826 plus 399, a very expensive book. And so this might price a lot of competition out, which could be a good thing. And again, if this is too much money to spend, that's completely fine. There's plenty of other books. Now, I would say the target price on this would probably be like, I'd probably set my min price at like 145 and my max price at like 179. So if I were to guess at 145, you're probably making like $20. Yeah, $18, which would be more than $10 profit. And then I would set my max price like 169, which would be about a $40 profit or a 40% return. Now, something that I like about this book is that Amazon is no longer on the listing, but also it has always held a very high value. In the past, it has gone down that low and instantly recovered. Has a pretty strong May textbook season, a pretty strong July, August, September season. So if it were me personally, I'd actually buy a couple copies of this. Now, for the sakes of this live stream, I don't think many people are probably willing to or can spend that much money buying a couple of books. So I'll probably leave this one out and say we just saw one. But if it were me, I would buy 2 copies of this book at $88. I'd buy actually maybe even 3 copies of this book because I think this is a book that can perform very well. And again, you'd be spending a lot of money, but you could be making potentially $30, $40 profit per book, which is pretty awesome. All right, let's keep going. We have Josh in the chat. How's it going, Josh? Good to see you, man. And congrats on the growth of your channel. I was just checking out your channel the other day, and congratulations to you, man. You're really killing it. So, Josh Graff, guys, in the comment section there, make sure you check out his YouTube channel. He's doing really well. Let's keep going. All right, we have a medical assisting book. Again, I'm doing some mental math. $18. If I wanted to make $10 profit, then I'm thinking if I'm buying it for 18, I probably need to sell it for in the upper 40s probably. So let's take a peek over there. Now, the most recent sales were in the the low 40s is what I'm thinking. Yeah, so $40, $40, $50, a couple sales here in August, September, a little bit lower, and then some at 40, and it's sitting down here at $14 as well. Now, a book that something that I really like about this book is it does have a history of going quite low in price and then recovering and selling for high prices as well. So it doesn't really, it doesn't really phase me or doesn't, make me think negatively of this book because it's so low. And in fact, that's what we're trying to do is find books at their lowest point. So this book is getting close to one of its lowest points, and it's been there before and has done pretty well. And again, there is some seasonality, especially in August, September here. So let's actually look at the Amazon listing and let's see if we can go ahead and pick this up. $39 is the buy box right now. So in this case, we would have to wait for that seller to sell out. And there's probably another, yeah, so 50. So I already said like 50 is kind of the target price on a book like this. You'd be buying it all in was 17.96. And I said like 48, I think. Yeah, so $48. Again, mental math, right around $10 profit. So do I think this book can sell for 48? I absolutely do. I mean, there was a sale here at 45 plus shipping, a couple sales here in the 40s and 50s. We had a random sale in July and August, which were well above that, or at 170. Plenty of sales in March at the lowest price in the 40s. So again, a book that has a little bit of a rising offer count, but again, it's a book that's been out for a long time. And let's see how long it's actually been out. It's been out since 2012. So it's been out for over a decade already. It's still selling well. Now, I do want to take a look at the newer edition. The one we're looking at now is a 5th edition. This is a 6th edition. Actually, it's a 7th edition. So maybe there is even a 6th edition of this book. And we can see the 7th edition is very, very expensive. So that's good. That supports that people would go buy the older edition because they can save a lot of money. Now, what we can do here is just type in the same title here without an edition to see what comes up. So we have the 7th edition, and here's the 6th edition. And you can see that the 6th edition is still holding some pretty good value as well. It's buy boxing $80. Actually, that's the lowest price. And yeah, I even dipped down to the 28s not too recently ago. Probably was on BookMine, and that would have been a good pickup as well. So everything here is pointing to this book also being a book that I'd want to pick up because, again, it can get low and it can recover. And yeah, some textbooks, even when there's newer editions out, they still perform well. So I'd be buying one of these copies, 17.96. Again, my target price would be probably right around like $47 to $50. So maybe I'd put like $47 as the min price, maybe like $49.99 as the max price. And there we go, looking at about $10 profit there. So another good book. Let's keep it going. This one sells a little bit too infrequently for me. And I'm only really seeing it sell in the $25 range. So I need to sell a little bit higher, just doing some mental math. Okay, this one, I'm not even sure if it's still there because this book has a BookMine score of 11, which means literally everything about it was great. It was amazing price relative to its normal selling prices. Its likelihood to sell out was very, very likely. And it was not in high supply. So you can actually see that, yeah, someone already bought it. So essentially it was at 70, it dropped down to 30 and then went right back up. And yeah, you can see why this showed up in BookMine. It was selling basically at $100 or more, even just in that season. This is honestly a pickup, probably even at like $50. Because one thing that you'll notice about this book is that it does have a lot of demand, and the buy box price generally sits higher than the lowest use price. Now, this is different than like exploiting the buy box because this book actually holds value. It's not like a worthless book and you're only making money because you're exploiting the buy box. It's more of like this book has a ton of demand. There's people willing to pay that premium because it already has a lot of value. And also there's a lot of demand for it. So I would say honestly, this book is a pickup when it's lower, like when it gets in this area or this area. So this is a book you could probably pick up multiple times throughout the year. Great book there. And unfortunately, we weren't able to pick it up, but that's because it was found. This would have been Eastern time, so it was found about 20 or so minutes ago. So somebody on BookMine already snatched that up. But let's just put the numbers in just to see how crazy this book would have been. Again, 11 is very, very rare to get 11. So we would have been all in price at $29.99. So it's probably a prime seller that dropped their price. I'm not sure why, but whoever picked it up bought at $29.99 pretty comfortably. You're selling this at $100. So this would have been like a $40 profit. You would have been almost halfway to your goal of $100 profit per day just with that one book. Just pretty crazy. Okay, this is a book with a BookMine score of 8. Again, amazing on the profit meter. And it does say it's an oversupply. It's probably why I didn't get a 9 or 10, but you can see the sharp dip there. It's sitting at 50. All the recent sales are 100 plus. So that's an incredible deal if you think about it. So let's actually take a look to see if we can pick it up. You can see it's undergoing a very, very strong repricing war. And you can see the offer count has gone up just a little bit, really not too much in the past. And so this is a type of book where I might be thinking of buying pretty much all the copies that are there. Now let's make sure we can actually sell the book because, and by the way, if we're selling for 100, buying for 50, we're looking at like $20, $25 profit per book. But again, this is a book you could pick up multiple copies of. Okay, we can't even sell it, which is a bummer. I'm curious to see if buyback companies offer what they offer for a book like this. But yeah, it seemed like a book that was almost too good to be true. Yeah, so you have buyback companies basically giving you about $20 for them, which is pretty great. And if you even go over to eBay, I'm sure you see sales of like $70 to $90. Let's see if that's true or not. Oh, yeah, you have a recent sell like 50, but fortunately can't sell that one. It's okay. We'll move on to the next book. Let's see. Have some comments here. What's my target ROI or min profit per book? In this particular live stream, we're trying to get $100 profit per day. So we're buying 10 books for $10 profit. Generally, when I'm sourcing, like I'm trying to get 15. I mean, I don't say I have a set target ROI because it's dependent on every book. I'm willing to take a lower ROI or margin if I know I can sell many copies in a short period of time. And then same thing, I might say no to a $15 profit on a book if it's more expensive or if I think it's going to take longer to sell. Generally, though, I want to be worth my time. So either that means if I'm going for a lower profit per book, it has to sell more often and sell more quickly. If I'm going for a higher profit per book, generally, I'm willing to wait longer for it to sell. Yeah. Garrett says, catch my lunch breaks, man. Absolutely, dude. Thanks for being here. We also have, can Bookmine find non-textbooks? I keep watching almost everything is a textbook. Yeah, I definitely can find non-textbooks. You can even see that there are books here like Coach Carter. That's not a textbook. The Wolf, that's not a textbook. Trillion Year Spree, that's not a textbook. Final Approach, that's not a textbook. Healing Sculpture. So there definitely are a lot of textbooks because of the fact that textbooks are so seasonal and they tend to go up and down in price a lot. So a lot of books you'll find are textbooks, and a lot of this model is textbooks. But yeah, you can find a lot of niche books for sure. We have Jan here. Says, "What's up, Joji? Hey, Jan, nice to see you as well." So let's keep on going. Where do we leave off here? We were at interesting book. I just saw this Halloween book. I'm just gonna go ahead and open it just to see how it performed this last Halloween. So it definitely sold. It was right around $10 plus shipping. Notice here how the offer count went from basically 30 down to 0 by the time it was even October 1st. I mean, by October 2nd, you had only 2 people on the listing, and they're asking $100. So you notice that you don't see any sales rank drops for this book at a higher price than $12, but you have to understand why. And the reason is during the best time to sell this book, which is between October 1st and October 31st, the price of this book was $100 and then $50. So clearly it doesn't even look like people are willing to spend $50 on this. So I'm thinking this is a book that probably could sell pretty well, like $29.99 would be my guess. And let's take a peek here in previous years to see if the book has ever sold that high. I'm not actually really seeing that it has, but it's definitely possible because this shows me that there's a lot of demand for the book, that basically you had no offer count. So anyways, the only reason I say that's because it's $5.93. So I would say that potentially could be a $10 profit book if you sell it for $29.99. Let's take a look at it. Like you can see the buy box is at $99. This person is asking way too much money for this book. There's no historical evidence to suggest that it could sell for that much. But if you can buy it for $5.93, I think $29.99, you're looking at like a $10 profit. Yeah. So again, some quick mental math, looking at about $11 profit. So you could even go down to like $27.99 and there you are. So honestly, I would probably pick that up at $5.93 for this upcoming Halloween and price it at like $27. I think there's a high chance you could sell for that. I definitely want to go much higher than that. I want to go higher than $30 because I don't see the evidence that it could sell for that, but it just caught my eye because that was a Halloween book there. Okay, so let's keep going. We found this book, which was great, but we can't sell it, and that's okay. Don't let road bumps be your brick wall. That's my new saying, by the way. Too many people let speed bumps be their brick wall, meaning like they hit a bump in the road and they go, oh, book selling's dead. It doesn't work anymore. Can't do it. When in reality, it's just like, come on. You just got to have a little bit of grit, get through it. You got it. It's not too hard. All right. We got racial and ethnic groups. Now, this says rental edition on it. Now, a lot of people would shy away from it because it does say rental edition. However, the thing to understand about the rental editions is that as long as the listing says rental edition on it and you get the book, because the book will have a rental edition, it's not tape, it's printed on the book. But I have sold those and I'm pretty sure you're okay selling those because of the fact that if the person rented the book and they didn't send it back to Pearson, then they were charged for the full amount of the book, which means they actually purchased the book. In which case they purchased the book, they bought the book. Now, it's just that the rental edition is printed onto the book. And That's just how it is. So I have sold them, and again, everything again, it comes down to what's your own risk tolerance. So for me, I'm willing to sell that if it's specifically on the listing that says a rental edition on it, and it has that line on it. So again, I'm willing to do that. Now, this book dropped down to $70, but I'm not seeing the $70 offer. Actually, it is there, interesting right there. So I'm not sure why it doesn't say one set or $70 to the lowest price, but we can't even sell this book anyway. So there's no reason to keep looking at it. So we'll keep going down. All right. So here's what I'm talking about: $18.62, Trillion Year Spree. Again, mental math would probably to sell for about $48 if we want to make a $10 profit. Like 46 to 48 would be my guess. Now you have recent sales in the 40s, right? 44, 47, 47, 60, 36 there. And then we're down here in 48 in the beginning of the year. If we go back in time, doesn't look like it has sold as well or as high. So definitely in the past it sold better, maybe because it's been at a little bit lower of an offer count. But I still see enough sales here that I think that this is a book I would still pick up, because in the past year you've got 8 to 12 completed listings at prices well above what you can pick the book up for. Now there's a prime offer on this as well. So 1862 would be the lowest price. And at 1862, again, I said like $48. So there you go. $48 would be about that $10 profit per book. And again, there's 6 or 7 or 8 sales that would be at that price. So I would say this is a book that will take more time to sell, but it's definitely there. There's also a prime offer in 1962. I would consider that prime offer being extremely competitive. There's actually 2 of them. And so something you could do is you could buy the prime offers off this listing, because then it would remove your competition. Just get your cart value over $35, so you get free standard shipping, and you don't abuse Amazon Prime, your Amazon Prime membership if you have it. But yeah, I'd pick up probably just one copy of this book. I'd pick up multiple copies if what we see here was consistent for the rest of its history. You'll kind of see that this is where the used price has been for this book over the last year. It's been in this range, and then kind of in the past it's been lower than that. But if instead the price of this book was consistent like the whole time, where it was pretty much always this price in the 40s, and again, it doesn't sell super frequently, but it sells consistently, then I would just buy all the copies, because then there's much less risk picking up this book. But I would just pick up a copy of this book, and there you go. It's another $10 profit per book there. All right, let's keep scrolling down. 2021 SolidWorks here. The Keepa graph in this one looks a little, for some reason, there's no y-axis. I'm not sure why. But let's take a look at Keepa. So here's a book that's been priced in the 40s and it has sold. It's now sitting down here at $6. So this is definitely a book that if you were to sell it at $40, which is where it has been selling, you'd be making well more. You'd be probably making like $17, $18 profit. So let's take a look. And the Apex Media is on the listing, which could be the reason why it recently has gone down. Also, it's a book that has 2021 in the title, which is generally not a good sign. That means that there's probably a newer edition that came out. Is there a new edition? I'm not seeing a newer edition here, but there probably, if we were to type this in, there's probably a newer edition. But up until, September, November, it's selling in the 40s, and you only have 2 prime offers here. So let's take a look there. $13, $15. So you only have 2 prime offers, and then it shoots right back up to $40 or so. So if we put in 7, this would be actually $10 all in ship. So $10, 44. Yeah, you're looking at about $15 profit, 148% return. So this is the type of book that is much lower price, where you could get into it a lot. Most people could get into it a lot easier. Now, I still think that I want to do a little bit more research specifically about this book because of the 2021. So I'm just going to go and type in SolidWorks and engineering graphics like this into Amazon and see if we can find the newer editions, or maybe even type in 2020, see if there's a 2020 edition. Okay, so there's a 2020 edition. And if you look at the 2020 edition, is it by the same author? Let's see, it is by the same author. And the 2020 edition is actually not super valuable, sitting there at $9. It's sold a couple times this year. Let's see if there's a 2022. Probably. Yeah, so there's a 2022, and the 2022 version is still $57. So what I'll say about this is it comes down to I'm certainly less confident in this book performing well because it comes out with a new edition every year. And so I'd be probably less prone to want to buy it. But again, if you look at the 2022 edition, which is not the one we were going to buy, the one we advised the 2021 edition that's sitting at $10. But if you look at the 2022 edition, it's still more valuable than the older edition that sells more often. Okay. So I'd say it's kind of like a 50-50 here. If you were to buy it at $10, what I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised if it did sell for 45, but I also wouldn't be surprised if you still have it in a year and it hasn't sold. And so for that reason, I would say I'd probably just pass on it. And I think there's definitely better books that I go after. So that's personally the way that I would approach that book. Ben says, I'm learning from the best live. So cool. Absolutely, man. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for being here. Good evening. It's in the UK. Must be book buying. Dude, every day, every minute of the day is book buying time. Every minute of the day. Clyde says, Joji, how much do you read into the descriptions for regular books like non-textbooks? Do you buy former library books or books that may contain high? Really good question. Do I read into the condition of the book? Specifically, if it's graded acceptable, I do. And I'm looking for the words such as broken spine, repaired spine, water damage, missing pages. All that stuff is a no-go for me. I wouldn't purchase that. Beyond that, former library copy, I don't really have any issue with. College textbooks, I'm even looking at less so. For a college textbook, you just need the book to be sellable. Generally, when you're selling a textbook, the person needs the book for a reason other than that they want the book. They need it because someone else told them that they need it. And so it's not like they're buying it for their own collection or for their own use, really, like for their own personal desire. They're buying it because they need it for school. So I'm definitely less restrictive on the conditions for textbooks. When it comes to rarer, older niche books, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to try to not buy acceptable copies, specifically if it has water damage, coffee stains, if it's got a broken spine. But if it's just a little beat up around their edges, if it's a former library copy, if it's from a seller who has a decent feedback rating like 95+%, then I'll go ahead and I'll buy the book. And just understand that, again, don't let this road bump be your brick wall. Is that a lot of people might buy a couple of books and say, it doesn't work. And I bought the book in good condition. I came out highlighting in it. And in that case, just because the book has highlighting, I don't necessarily say that it's that, I want to buy it, that it's unsellable. Sometimes you'll buy a book that's in good condition and it will have a broken spine and you'll have to ship it back to the customer or to the seller. And that sucks. But again, that's just a road bump. It's just a speed bump. Sometimes you'll buy a book in acceptable condition from a Goodwill and it'll come like very good. And so it all averages out at the end. So again, don't let those speed bumps be your brick wall. Don't let it prevent you from keeping to go forward, because I'm over here selling thousands of books a year, having no issue buying acceptable copies from Goodwills and other sellers with high feedback ratings. But again, I go through the same struggles and challenges as everyone else. Like, I also buy books in very good condition that come in acceptable condition. Do I send it back? No, it's a sellable book. It's a sellable book. I might have to price the book a little bit lower and sell it for a little less than I wanted. But guess what? If I already have great margin built into the book, it doesn't matter. It's just all about volume. It's all about selling as many books as you can per day. Now, this particular book, Healing Scriptures, I think we even saw this last stream, but the reason why I would not buy this is just the offer count is really unprecedented right now. It's now up to 40 when it was just a couple the whole year, and it's only been out for about 500 days. So there's not too much data on a book like this, and there's just better books to look at. So there's no reason for me to keep going into that. Here is definitely an interesting book because it's at $14, and the reason for that is Amazon's price is coming down, and the new third-party price is coming down as well. So you can see Amazon was up here in the 40s. They've been as high as the 80s, and then all of a sudden the price is going down, down, and down. And really, this book has been sold by Amazon for over a decade at much higher prices than today. So it's possible that the price of this book could go back up. You can actually see it's at $15 right now. Wow, that's crazy. It's only $15 brand new from Apex Media. So Apex Media is really just trying to get rid of it. And let's see how many copies they have in stock. Amazon is at $17.84. Notice that they have 4 in stock here, and that at $15, Apex has 3 in stock. Now, 4 in stock, don't let that trick you. 4 in stock. Generally, when it says 4, be extra careful. and try to add more to your cart, because generally what happens is that there's a limit to how many you can buy. So if I try to go past 4, they'll probably say like, yeah, this seller has a limit of 4 per customer. So there's probably more in stock than just 4, or there actually is more than in stock than just 4. So this is a book that I'd say is more of like a gamble. We haven't really seen the new price come down that low and then recover. With that said, we have seen Amazon's price change all the time. So what I'm saying is, I could very easily see this book for 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now being back at a new price at $60 or $70. And if you bought 3 or 4, if you bought 4 copies from Amazon, you could have flipped all of those. You could have bought them new on Amazon, flipped them back on Amazon. If you wanted to, you could even sell them new because you have the invoice directly from Amazon themselves, from the actual company, and you had the Amazon order ID. You could do that if you wanted, but it's more of a gamble, right? It's like if you wanted to play this game, maybe buy 1 copy, send it in, but there's no guarantee that Amazon's price will ever come back up. You can make your educated guess. I bet that it probably does, unless there's a new edition coming out, which I don't see a new edition coming out. This one's already been out for over a decade. So if I had to make an educated guess about this particular book, I would bet 6-month time, it's more likely that its prices are covered back to $40 or $50. But I don't know that with 100% certainty. And so I'm not out here, having you buy hope because you are hoping that that's what happened. I'm just saying that it probably will happen, but I'm not going to be here and tell you to buy it for that reason. Okay. Personal question. How has having kids impacted my early retirement, or are you mostly coast fired? Don't have to share much if I want to. Yeah, good question. How's having kids impacted early retirement? So the goal was always to spend life and do things that you want to do, right? So the goal is never to sit on the couch and do nothing. The goal is like to buy your time back. Because when you have a job, you have to be at that job 9 to 5, 5 days a week, every single day. You get maybe 2 weeks vacation. Really, it's very limited on very limiting on your freedom. So the goal is to always get to a number where there's enough breathing room, whether that be coast fi or fire, where we could choose what we want to do every day in our life. And so how has having kids impact that? It's honestly just made me more motivated to get there so that I can spend what I would consider probably the most precious years of, our children's life, which is probably their first 5 or 6 years, first 4 or 5 years before they go off, to a school, and then you don't see them 8 hours a day. So yeah, it's accelerated, my motivation to get there. So yeah, I would say that, having another baby on the way has just, again, just shown me how awesome financial independence is. So right now, my wife and I, we both, work from home. We're pretty much at the point where we probably don't need to work again ever, but we're just doing things that we enjoy doing. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm not live streaming because I need a live stream. I'm just live streaming because book selling is awesome and it can change your life. I mean, it changed my life. It changed Victor's life. I think it's currently changing other people's lives. Like I think it's changing Garrett's life. Amazon Jones, who's here, I think it's changing Tanner's life. The junk flipper. So I think it has the ability over time, not overnight, like over time, with intentionality to change your life. And so that's all I'm here to help. Teach you all to do it if you want to do it. And I'm not here saying that you need to do it. You don't need to do anything. Don't do anything you don't want to do. Only do things that make you happy. If this makes you happy, then do it. And if it doesn't make you happy and you don't like it, then don't do it. I'm not here to force you to do it. I'm just trying to help you do it if you want to do it. That's all. And I also find fun in doing it as well. So let's see what we got. Definitely will stop letting the road bumps become brick walls, says Clyde. Awesome. Yeah, don't let the road bump become your brick wall, which it does for most people. Exploring themes. Now, this is a very popular high school publisher, BJU Press. You can tell that it has an amazing high school season. In the last July, it was selling in the 40s, into June, and then into July went up to about $140. Now it's sitting here at $8. Now, it is at a higher offer count. It's at 40. At the same time last year, it was much lower, and then someone bought a bunch of copies, which is probably the reason why it spiked in price so much, because it never really recovered and had a lot of copies before the season. So what you'll see is that this is a newer high school book. It came out in 2021, and you can see that every year its offer count has reached higher points, except for 2024, but now it has reached a higher point. And the question is, do we think this book is going to perform well? Yeah, I do think it's going to perform well. Do I think it's going to perform as well and get to $100+ No, I don't think that currently where we're at, because we're at 40 offers and the pickup price of this would be about $12, which I still think is a great pickup at this price. I would be picking up a couple of copies of this book for the upcoming textbook season because there's not really the chance to get it much cheaper than that. And it actually looks like maybe someone has already purchased a copy because now $15. And you actually do have graduate standard with 25 copies in stock. Now, I know what you're thinking. Everyone's like, they've got 25 copies in stock. That's a lot. But what you have to understand is that we're still very, very far away from the textbook season. And 25 copies could be purchased by one customer. Why? Because it's a high school book. And from my own experience selling high school books, I've had Keepagraphs that looked worse than this, meaning not a ton of sales, where I've had a actual school come on and just buy 20 copies, just one go, buy 20 copies in one go. So even though 25 copies seems like a lot, I still wouldn't be worried about that. And I would actually, what I would do in this case, because the offer count's higher, is I'd probably buy like 2 copies at 15 and then see what happens over the next 3 or 4 or 5 months as we get into May to see if the book's even cheaper. If it gets cheaper, I'll buy a couple more copies. If it's more expensive, I at least have those 2 copies at 15. Now, again, where do I think this book is going to go? Well, it got up to over $140, which I don't think is going to get anywhere near that. You can see kind of right around like, when its offer count was 26, it was already at $35 or $40 and up to 50. So if I'm buying this for 15, again, I'm just trying to make, in this case, in this video, we're trying to make $10 profit per book. So if we're buying for 15, we're probably going to sell for like $42 or $43. So there you go, $43. Again, mental math. My mental math is pretty good. $43, we're making about $10 profit. And so do I think this book can sell for $43? I do. I really do believe that it can sell for $43. It is a newer high school book, and these high school books tend to do very well. So I'd buy 2 copies at 15. I'd probably, honestly, I would shoot for more than I'd probably just want it price right at 43. I'd probably put my min price at 43, maybe my max price at like $49.99. And then I would just see what happens over the next couple months. So go ahead and track it. If it gets cheaper, pick up a couple more copies. It lowers your cost basis. Imagine if in a couple months you come back and now it's $10. You buy 2 more copies at $10. Now you're in all 4 copies at $12.50 cost basis. That means you can sell the book for a little bit less and still make the same profit. So good there. All right, let's keep on going. So in this case, I'd buy 2 copies. All right, that was just the first page, by the way. That was just the first 25 out of 600. Again, we're specifically looking at the profit meter here. All right, here we go. This book was a score of 10. Guys, probably not on Bookmine anymore, because what we recommend is look at books that have really high scores first, because of the fact that those are books that are just straight up anomalies. They shouldn't be that cheap. It's actually still there. So I love, 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 love selling loose leaves. So many people shy away from loose leaves. I don't know why. They're so simple to prep. You just put them in a poly bag. Your prep center does that for you if you don't prep yourself, and it ships right to the customer. I have very few issues with loose leaves. You would think that they have much higher return rates, but they don't. They actually sell very, very well, and I enjoy selling them. So let's see if this is a book I would buy. It's in acceptable condition. Again, 95%. Okay, that's pretty good. Has used stickers on the cover. That's not really a deal breaker for me. It's not some rare niche book that somebody doesn't want stickers on. Proven seller with X-Men. Okay, I'd buy it. $27 plus shipping, 95% feedback rating. To me, that's good. $75 is the next cheapest price after that. I don't even think there is a used buy box or there's not even a used FBA seller, I don't think. Yeah, there's no used FBA sellers. It's just $160. Not a book that is going to sell a ton. You can see in January it sold a couple times at least $80. You can see there was a prime seller. Tome Dealer is a big textbook seller. They sold at $124. And then you can see in September, a few sales there, started at 80, went up to 130. Couple sales in March, April, May that you have an opportunity to sell for over 100. So for me, this is just an amazing book. For me, like if I wasn't on this live stream, I pretty much would have bought it like as soon as I saw this graph. And I was like, this is a type of book that I'm looking for. So $27.57 plus $3.99. And what would I sell this book for? I'm thinking, so you have completed sales at $120. I do want to make sure we sell. I'd probably price the min price like $89.99. And at 89.99, you're probably going to be making like $35. There you go, $34. And I'd probably put that as my min price. And again, that's a $34 profit if you sell it for that price. I'd probably put the max price like 109.99, a $50 profit. That's really the power of Bookmine. You don't really have to do anything. You just click a button and you just scroll through and you find pretty awesome books. So that's absolutely a book that I would buy. And if nobody here buys that book, that's the first book that I'll be buying as soon as this live stream is over. All right, let's keep going now. We have Clinical Scenarios in Surgery at $60 at an amazing price. I doubt we'll be able to sell this book because it's a very popular book. So let's just take a look at it though. So we'll open it up. Um, there is a newer edition of it available as well, but let's see if we can sell it or not. Oh, we can sell it. Okay, pretty interesting. There is a newer edition. That newer edition came out last July, and it's priced at $170. So again, what we need to do is look to see what the publishing cycle is of the current edition, which is the second edition that came out 2018. This newer edition just recently came out. I guess it'd be considered the third edition. Is that right? Should be the third edition. Yeah. And it recently came out here in 2024. So it's still a pretty new book. That means there is a first edition, and I'm just going to copy the entire title there. And let's go all the way to the end here. And let's type in first edition. I'm not sure why it's not able. All right, let's do this. Technique first. So this is the one that came out in 2018. Looks like we're not able to see the newest, the edition previous to that. So the question is, would we still buy it? Well, we still have to do other research into this. So we're still looking at the second edition. Sold incredibly well. March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Looks like the sales rank is definitely not as low as it used to be. You can see when Amazon was in stock, pretty much all year round, it was incredible. And now it's less so. It just means the book is going to be selling less because of the fact that there's an older edition, or sorry, newer edition that just came out. Now, that doesn't mean that this is a dead book. It just means that maybe it'll sell for less, or maybe you won't be able to sell as many copies. No online access. You do have some Prime offers at 70, 70, 70, and then it goes up to 100. So there's really only like 4 Prime offers. It's a book that is still selling like somewhat decently. It's still selling, like even in January, it sold at least 7 or 8 times. In December, it sold 6, 7, 8, 9 times, 10 times. So still selling. Yeah, I don't know. This one, if you were to buy it at $60 free shipping, you'd need to sell it. I mean, if you want to make $10 profit, you need to sell like $90 probably. No, more than that. 97. 90. You had to sell it $100, I guess. And that's probably because it's a super heavy book. So I'd probably just pass on it. Whenever I'm getting this feeling, 2.3 pounds, whenever I'm getting this feeling that I'm not sure about it, there's no reason to buy it because there's just too many books that you'll come across that are like, okay, yeah, this is a book I want to buy. That there's no reason for you to buy hope. There's no reason for you to go, I hope it does that. No, there's no reason to do that. You should be buying books that you're very, very confident are going to perform well. So we have a book that was it sold by Amazon? Used to be sold by Amazon, no longer sold by Amazon. Could be sold by Amazon in the future. Selling at over $100. It's now down here at $60. Actually, $52.71. Again, this is what you want Bookmine to find you. You want Bookmine to find you books that have been selling significantly higher than where they're priced at now. Now, in this case, you had a new seller drop from 215 all the way down to 75. Why'd they do that? I have no idea why they'd want to do that. But it's Amazon Global Store UK. So it actually is Amazon, and their stock quantity is 3. So again, this is tricky because we don't know if there's actually more available or not, because it might just be a quantity limit here. So let's go 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and I can just keep going up. So who knows how many they have in stock there. And again, I don't know. We could go back in time and look at to see if there's ever been periods where the new price has dropped and recovered. And there has been times where it has dropped, but certainly not as significantly as it has just recently. So I don't know what Amazon UK is doing there. I don't know why they're doing that, but I don't even know the shipping speed on this. Shipping speed is probably forever. It doesn't even tell you when the shipping will be. So there's still something to say with if you bought one of these lower copies. I mean, this one comes February 6th to February 19th, so that would take forever. So I don't know. It's an interesting book. I probably would still just pass on it though. We had The Big Lose at $20. Some potential there. Another college textbook there. $70. Let's go because someone did make the comment of like, there's just a lot of college textbooks. Let's find non-college textbooks. See if there's anything else that hits our eye that's not a college textbook. American literature. Let's look at this one. This one is interesting. Okay, thanks, Joji. Thinking about getting Bookmine this month. Which guru has the best monthly script discount for us for Bookmine, and they get an affiliate? Yeah, it's really. I mean, they're all pretty much the same. I would just say whoever you find, whoever you want to support. If you want to support Steve, you want to support Gary, you want to support Tanner. I mean, they're all pretty similar. So it's just whoever you want to support, man, and go for that. Thumbs up the video, guys. It's 7 of us. Yeah, 1 thumbs up. You want to add more thumbs ups? Feel free to do so. All right, this is a really interesting book here. Official Price Guide to Collector Knives, 15th edition. Not a college textbook, but I guess there's new editions because every year there's probably new knives that come out. A very interesting keepograph to read for the fact that this book probably has had many periods of time of high pricing errors. And what I'll say is, let's look at periods of time where the used price was more stable, and we can see over a couple year period how this performs. So we can see sales in the 20s, we can see sales in the 60s and the 80s. So it's a book that is, that is definitely moving, a book that's definitely selling, but it's a book that holds value, right? It generally is sitting at pretty high prices. Now, in the last year, in February and March, it was here in the 90s and selling plenty of times. And then it went off the listing, came back on the listing here at, looks like maybe 199, 95, 199, a couple sales. So those probably sold there. Then we have someone coming back on the listing here at 99. It looks like it's selling there at 165, a couple at 110. Then we come here in July and someone was listed for $54 for, looks like a day, and then it sold out. Then it went out of stock again, listed for 199, sold. So yeah, it's a book, someone came in at $65 new, sold. Someone came in at 129 sold, 99 sold. Now it's sitting here at $42. So for me, if this is still here, this is a buy. But the question is it still there? And it doesn't look like it's still there. So somebody else bought it already. And that's okay, right? There's other people who buy and sell books. What I would say though is here's a book that would be an awesome book to track, because I'd be willing to spend, that $42 on this book, if the price came up tomorrow. So track the book for $42 and try to pick that book up if you can. But good book there. By the way, a very hard book to read because of the keepograph looking so weird and the use price being so high, but a good book there. Okay, let's see. That was just page 2 there. And let's keep on rolling. I think we've been live. How long have we been live for? We've been live for, I don't even know how many minutes. Probably getting close to like 45 minutes or so. We've already found some pretty good books, and just keep it going. If you see a physics title or physics cover like this, Books a la carte, it just means the book doesn't have a stock photo on it for some reason. And that is the stock photo Amazon used. Not sure why they use that stock photo, but they use that stock photo. So just so you know. All right, let's see what we got. Marketing channels. This is a textbook, by the way. So it has sold in the 75 range in the most recent past. Before that, hadn't really sold for very much money. And I don't know why, sometimes college textbooks do this. They go through phases of being pretty much worthless, and then all of a sudden they're worth something again. Offer count is definitely a little bit lower than it was during that time, but yeah, I don't generally like to buy books like that. But, and again, let's see if we can't find, let's look at this book, Readings in Ancient Greek Philosophy. So we're looking at $9 to buy it, to make $10 profit on this. Probably need to sell it for like $32 to $35 would be my guess. So let's open it up and see if that's possible. All right. We're sitting here at $8.96. There is the buy box at 23. And again, don't let that worry you, too much. The buy box always changes, right? if that person sells out, then the buy box goes higher. The buy box is always going up, always going down. It's always changing. Like you can see, it's been as high as $62. Went down to 29, then back to 50, and then it went up to 44, and then went down to 20. It's always changing based upon what's going on. So I said like $32. Okay, so you'd actually need to sell for like $34 or $35 to make $10 profit. So do we think this book could sell for 35? Well, in the most recent past, we've had sales at least $23. Now the buy box has been in the 40s. You can see CSS Book Deals was priced at $44.95, and they did sell out. They were only on the listing for about close to a month. So selling it at $44.95, they made, if they would have bought it at this price, they would have made an $18 profit, and they would have had a 200% return, which is great. Now the other sales are in the 20s, and then you do have this awesome period in August, September where the lowest price was $38 with plenty of sales up into the 45s. So that would definitely hit our target of $35. Now we do have a little bit of a rising offer count, and I don't, in this case, don't mind that rising offer count too much because of the seasonality with this book. You can very, very clearly see that this book always goes up and down in offer count. Right? You see how well that happens. So I wouldn't be too worried about an offer count up here, because what is likely to happen is this, and then it's probably going to keep going something like this. So that doesn't worry me. And let's actually just look at the other prime sales in the last 6 months. So I'm going to go to the data offers tab. So a little bit more advanced here with Keepa. Go to the data tab, click on the offers tab, click on the prime button for shipping option, get rid of the new and collectible because we're only looking at used prime offers. We're going to look specifically at including historical offers, and then we're going to look at the last 180-day range in the graph range here. Okay. Now we're then going to scroll over, and again, these are all things that you can pause and rewind and go back. We're then going to filter by last seen. So it may not be last seen. It might start as a longer period going to a shorter period. We wanted to see the people who are most recently on the listing, and you can see as I scroll, it just increases in months here. So last seen. Now what we're going to do is scroll back over. We're going to take a look at a couple things. We're going to be keeping our eye on this price here, and we're going to be looking at stock quantity here, or we'll be looking at if the person's still in stock or not. So we're looking at those two things there. All right. You'll notice that we have these sellers that are still attached to the y-axis, and you see that there's a little blue dot. That means they're in stock. So for example, this person at $23.98, if you scroll over, you'll see their name is 1337 Games. And you can see that this is them right there, 1337 Games, $23.98. So again, the reason why that is, we see that blue dot there attached to the y-axis, it means that they're still in stock. Now, the cool thing is you can also see how their prices changed over time. So all these guys started at $40, and they're all repricing against each other, and they're all coming down in price. But we want to keep scrolling until we don't see that anymore. And let's see what periods of time this is. Okay, this is going back into 70 months ago. So what has happened is maybe there just haven't been very many FBA sellers in the last 6 months. We can try to go to the last 365, and we're not seeing anyone go out there recently either. This is not something that's like 100% perfect either, but sometimes it's a good way to see what have other FBA sellers sold out at. So for example, we click on the buy box here, $44, CSS Book Sale went out. Booking it was at $49, but they're now at $48, and they haven't gotten out of stock yet. This person hasn't got out of stock yet. This person did go out of stock. Nikki Numbers. They were at $50, but then you can see the last part, the last tell-in, they dropped to $33, $27, and then they went out of stock here at $24. So they went out of stock here on January 18th, and they sold for the low 20s. So do I think this is a book that could sell for $35, which is the buy price? Yeah. And so I would buy a copy of it. Let's see what the other prime offers are. So we're at a bunch at 23 and 37. So I just buy one copy, stick it there at $35. Probably wouldn't have too much of a range in min and max. Probably put my min at like $33, my max price at like, yeah, $34.99. So really, or maybe $35.99, not too much difference in min and max price because we'd be targeting a specific price there. All right, let's see what else we got here. Nurses. Trying to see, probably get end the stream here because it is noon here. I'm just trying to see if we can maybe end with something that is really cool, a really really crazy book at the end. Let's see. How would I divide spending 8,000 on all your books and upcoming high school books, assuming that is all your capital? Really good question. $8,000. Well, if you spend all 8,000 on high school books, you're not gonna sell much until it starts getting May, June, July, August, right? So you'd be doing a lot of waiting. I would say if you have $8,000 to spend, um, I would probably prioritize more all year round flips right now because you will if you spend most of the eight, like let's say you spend $8,000 this month, then if you buy mostly all year round books, then as the next month rolls around, a lot of those books will start to sell. You'll start getting some of that capital back, which you can then use to then continue to buy more books. So probably at this point, Misa, I would recommend buying mostly all year round books and then start buying more high school books as it gets a little bit closer to high school textbook season, right? Because peak high school textbook season is going to be like end of July, August. So you still have, basically 6 months out from here to then. So I would, if you find great deals in high school books, pick them up. But still wait and probably start picking up high school books maybe in the next 2.5 months, 3 months, because that gives you a little bit more time to try to turn your capital, sell some of those books, and keep moving forward. That's what I'd say. Let's see. Clyde says, "Would I still buy the Nice book even though your alert had a private label on it?" Oh, really good question. Yeah, this seller app here, you'll see that there's alerts up here. I pay zero attention to the alerts here. This is more for traditional online arbitrage, and there's arguments or it's questionable how valid it is or like how accurate it is anyways. But yeah, completely ignore this, the alert section. The only thing you need to pay attention to is whether or not you can sell the book. And then one other thing that I should mention is you should also be using the counterfeit probability checker from Booksrun anytime you're coming across specifically textbooks that have much better sales ranks and sell much more often. So make sure you're using that as well. Miss Lachey Resells. Everyone, shout out to Miss Lachey Resells in the house. She also has an awesome YouTube channel. Make sure you go head over to her channel and subscribe. She says she needs me to pick my stocks. Okay, so here we go. Miss Lachey and everyone else. Despite the fact that I look at graphs all day, when it comes to investing, I invest in one thing. And that one thing is this. Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. VTSAX is the ticker symbol. And it essentially tracks the entire US economy. It buys every publicly traded company in the United States. So interestingly, we read all these key graphs and all these charts, and we try to say buy here and sell there. But when it comes to stocks, I don't do that at all. And the reason why I don't do that is because when you look into the data in terms of who's actually successful doing that, it's the odds are significantly stacked against you that being a stock picker is going to outperform the entire US stock market. And so it's better to actually invest. And again, this is not financial advice. This is just what I do. If you want to do what I do, feel free to. This is not. I'm not a financial expert. I'm not a financial advisor, and by no means am I saying that. Yeah, you should do this. I'm just telling you what I do. So the reason why I invest in the entire U.S. stock market is because I don't believe that I have the ability to pick the winners and losers and outperform just the benchmark, which is to outperform the U.S. economy, which historically gets like 7-8% after inflation. So if you're not sure what the total stock market index fund is, it's essentially buys every publicly traded company. So you could essentially just look at VTSX holdings or so let's see if we click on this, I'll show you like what companies are in this fund. So portfolio composition. So you can see that there's 3,600 stocks into it. And let's see if it tells us. So here's the breakdown by sector. So you can see that you've got healthcare and real estate and technology and utilities and energy. And basically it shows you what percentage it's made up of. And then you can see the holding. So if you invest in this, notice that this page says of 1 of 10 of 3,570. So if you invest in the VTSX, you're investing a little piece of the pie into every one of these 3,500 companies. Now it is weighted based upon market cap. So most The largest chunk goes to Apple. So, and then the next largest chunk goes to Microsoft, and then Nvidia, and then Amazon, and then Facebook. So there you go. I am invested in Amazon, right? But I'm invested in everything. I could go to the last page, and I have money invested in these random companies that I've never heard of. So, is it going to go there? Yeah. So 5E Advanced Materials Incorporated, First US. I don't even know any of these companies, but the whole reason why, again, I do that is because I know historically the odds of me picking the winners and losers is very, very low. It makes much more sense just to get set, 8% per year after inflation, which, by the way, compounded annually is insane. That is literally insane, like the amount of money that you can make. So we started investing back in 2016, 2017. We were buying shares of the US economy for about, the mid 50s. And then we've just been buying since then. And so every share that we bought for 50 or so dollars, not only every 3 months do you get a dividend on that, do you get some profit from the companies that you own, but the value of it also has gone up. So yeah, this is the reason why every dollar we invested back in 2015, 2017 has tripled in value, which is over 7 or 8 years is actually unheard of. That's like pretty insane, pretty crazy. Misa says, do I do VTSAX for Roth IRA brokerage and 401k? Yeah, so we have and by the way, this is just kind of random because it's not even about Bookmine here, which is why everyone's here. So sorry for the tangent, but yeah, we have taxable accounts. We have a Roth IRA, a traditional IRA, a SEP IRA, and then a 529. And all of that, I just invest in VTSAX. Now, we also have a little bit in Vanguard's total bond market index fund. I forget what the ticker symbol is. I think it's BTLX. So similarly, it buys every bond on the market, and we also have a small percentage in that as well. Yeah. So this is what I would. This is if I were to give advice to my son, as they grow up, I would say open a Roth IRA, max out your Roth IRA, and invest in this. That's the advice I'd give to my son. And again, long term, historically, it's only continued to do well. And I know everyone gets freaked out whenever there's a stock market crash or there's a correction. Totally understandable. But the way that I know that it's likely to be okay is that we've never not recovered from it. So you can go back all the way to the Great Depression in the early 20s or late 20s, I think it is, to World War I, World War II, to the Korean War, to the Vietnam War, to the Gulf War, to September 11, to the dot-com bubble, to Black Friday, to the 2008 housing market crash, to coronavirus. You can go through all of that, and we're still at all-time highs. So buy and hold is kind of what we do. And it's actually a really good tangent because a lot of people think that I take all the money I make from book selling and just buy more books, and I don't do that. The whole reason why I sell books is to make money so that I can then put in the US economy, because all of that is much more passive than what we're doing. And if you gain 8% per year, you get to a point at which the value of your portfolio, when it produces 8% gains per year, is greater than the income you're making. And so at this point in time, that was the goal. The goal is to get to a nest egg or a portfolio that's large enough where the amount you'll gain passively is greater than what you'll make selling books. So, for example, last year, I made about $100,000 profit. I sold over $300,000 in revenue on Amazon and made about $100,000 in profit. Now, if you look at VTSAX over the last 5 years, so VTA returns over previous 5 years, let's look at how crazy this was. Okay. So this is the 5-year. I want to see the year breakdown though. I think this is just going to be the 5-year breakdown. 1 year. Last 3 years, 23%. Trying to see if we can find it by year. We could probably just use that. Let me do this. VTX return 2024. Okay, here we go. Yahoo Finance. Okay, it's just the same thing. Oh, no, here it is. Okay, so here we go. In the last year, 2024, the return on VTSAX, which again is the US economy, is 23%. So what that means is my wife and I, we made more money doing nothing than we did selling books and doing her side hustles. So again, because our portfolio got to a large enough amount, we made 23% on that in unrealized gains. So the value of what we own was more than what I made over a year's worth of time trying to flip books actively. So that's why for me, the goal is always make money on Amazon. It's an amazing income generator, but it's not a wealth generator in my eyes, right? Because you don't control it, right? Like you don't have 100% control. Like, so take that money, move it over. And that's just, again, not financial advice for you. That's just what I do. My goal has always been make money on Amazon, move it over to VTSAX. And again, if I at 23% last year, that was more than I had made book flipping. It's actually substantially more than we made book flipping and all other businesses. So once that number grows and grows and grows, that's really where you've reached, financial independence, and that's the goal here. Do I recommend? Where do I recommend to put your emergency fund? Good question. So where do I put my emergency fund? I just put my emergency fund into a high yield checking account, and it just basically sits there and does nothing. I mean, it gets, I don't know, a couple percentage points, which is essentially nothing. And the goal of it is just to be there in case of an emergency. So that's its only purpose. Its purpose isn't to be invested. It's just like and again, not a financial advice. That's just what we do. So if other people don't think that's, if other people don't want to do that, that's fine, right? That's just what I do. That's just what we do. Misa said, what accelerated our early retirement? I remember you saying you need to wait a while ago. Yeah, what accelerated it? Really the gains in the last couple of years. So I mentioned the last couple of years is 23% and 26%, 25%, 20. This is what the last 7 or 8 years have just incredibly been very bullish. And so the value of our portfolio has grown so much because of just what the market has returned. So we even had a negative year in 2022, which again is fine because all I was doing was buying everything at a discount. And then it continued to do even better, recover and do even better the next year. So that was the main thing that accelerated the retirement. The next thing would be having multiple sources of income. So as I was a high school teacher, I was investing all my high school teaching income living off of my Amazon paycheck. So having multiple streams, not just from my 9 to 5, but also from book selling was huge. Similarly, my wife was also a teacher and she had her own side hustle. So that was huge. Every year we just made more and more money with book flipping. That accelerated the growth. And so all those things, and then probably the most important thing is living below our means. So, living frugally, not buying new vehicles, not ever having a car payment, not having any debt, and just living below our means. So we make a lot more money and we spend much less of it and invest the rest, and it can grow at insane percentages like that. It's just a matter of time. And really, if you can get rid of all debt and if you can start saving 40, 50, 60 plus percent of your income, which is not easy, by the way. What I'm telling you is very, very, very abnormal. But if you could do that, it's really like a 10-year plan to retirement. Ours turned out to be like 7 or so years because we got incredibly lucky with the return of the market. And it's really cool. By the way, future videos, we are moving into our new home here pretty soon. So we'll be really cool. We'll be shooting from there probably in February sometime, have a new baby on the way. So a lot of things are really happening, which is awesome. So I'm really excited for it. Okay. Miss Lassay says she put her emergency fund into savings or a money market account or short-term CD so that I could have easy access. Yeah, that's the goal. You just want easy access to your funds. So I don't have any issues with that. I mean, that sounds good to me. It's awesome. All right. This book right here is amazing if it's still there, which it could possibly be there, but I don't know. We'll see if it's there or not. But this book looks like a home run to me if it's still there. It's still there. Okay, I don't know what people are doing. People are sleeping. They're not buying this book. $40 plus $3.99 shipping. It's a very good copy from Momux, and I think that's how you say it. And this is definitely a $10 profit per book. It's gonna be a lower margin, but it's a book that I would be all over. $430 plus $3.99 shipping, $44.29. Buy box is at $87, which doesn't mean anything in of itself. It's what does the historical data suggest? The historical data suggests we have completed listings at in the mid 80s, in the upper 90s, in the 130s. If we go back further into history, we can look at any period of time and we can see sales at similar prices, even higher prices at times. So if you own this book in 2019, you could have sold it there for 100, sold it there for 100, sold it there for 100. If you owned it in 2021, you could have sold it there for 175, there for 101, there for 50. If you owned it in 2022, you could have sold there for 105. So very, very strong book here. That's in good condition. I would buy this book in literally a heartbeat. So 44.29, I'd probably put it up there. Honestly, min price $89.99, $20 profit, 50% return, and probably max price of like 109, honestly. So getting close to 100%. Now, this is a great book. It goes back to the question somebody had earlier about my ROI or margin target. So a lot of people might say, okay, well, if you sell it at 89, oh, but my target ROI is 50%. And so they might say, no, it's not 50%. And my sort of ROI targets are more fluid because the way I feel about every book and my confidence in buying every book changes based upon what the book is. When I look at this book, I see it came out in 1980. It looks like a very niche book and it has a very long track record of performing amazingly well. And so that means I'm willing to go even lower than 49% of this. Even if I was like, I'm like $75, like $10 per, I would still buy it at that because I'm so confident that this book is going to perform that I'd be okay with that sort of margin. So anyways, I'd buy that copy. And there are opportunities where it has been that price as well, where essentially immediately someone bought it. So you can see July 8th, it dropped to 39, it instantly sold. Same thing here, dropped, instantly sold. Same thing here, dropped, instantly sold. And same thing here recently, dropped and instantly sold. So this should be gone. And again, if by some way that book is here, by the end of this live stream, I would be very disappointed in the people watching this video. It's the big book of amazing facts that came out in 1980. What bank do I use for an emergency fund? Misa, I just use a local credit union. So I don't use anything. I don't use a big bank. I just use a local credit union. Jan says it's gone with the wink. Jan, hopefully you got it. If not, it's all right. There's plenty of other books to get as well. But crazy book. Those are the books I love. Like those are books that are just those books are just money. Like those books are awesome. They're just amazing. All right, I think I'm probably gonna wrap it up. Let's just look at this last book here. This Pathfinder book came back as a 9, and then we're gonna get on out of here. All right, so a book that's been selling in the 50s. We go back into time; it generally sells for $15. Had a really hard time staying in stock, probably because of high pricing errors, but it does have sales for $30 up to $50. Recently has sales up to $50. Is now priced at 17. So I would say that there's a pretty good bet of buying this book, and it's already gone. So someone already bought it. So fortunately, someone bought it. I think what a lot of people do, as you should do, is you can just go as soon as you're on Bookmine, just go to the Bookmine score of 8 to 10, and just see what shows up. I mean, there's amazing. I mean, look at this. This is crazy. This deal. Is this still here? And this just updated like 12 or so minutes ago. So there's a chance that it's here. There's also a chance that it's not there, because 12 minutes is still a long time. Yeah, it's not there. But that was an incredible deal. This is like a $25 profit book if you snag this book right here. And that just showed up right there. So remember that Bookmine updates every hour. And again, you only need 10 books a day at $10 profit per book to make $100 profit per day or $3,000 profit per month. It's really not too difficult if you decided that you're going to treat this like a business and not just some thing that you do on the side and you do it whenever you want. And if you're feeling bad, like if you actually want it to work and you're willing to put in the work, like it's pretty doable. So is it a baby boy or a baby girl? We're actually waiting till birth. So that's the best surprise. And so we don't actually know yet. Anyways, it is that time. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some lunch, but hopefully everyone enjoyed. Go buy 10 books. Plenty of books out there. I certainly don't have enough money to buy even a fraction of all of them, which is why I don't feel bad sharing it, because I know that even if you all win, I don't lose. Your win is not my loss. Your win is awesome. So thanks for the vid. See ya. Thanks. I appreciate that. But have a good one. Yeah. I'm gonna be trying to do more live streams, hopefully up to 2 per week, just to help people out with sourcing. And yeah, go out and get some books. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one.